So you want to get really, really good at chess? Today, we're going to lay out a complete roadmap to do just that, using what might be the most powerful and honestly the most overlooked tool out there, books. And this whole idea kicks off with a story that's pretty hard to believe. Just get a load of this. This is the story that started it all for this explainer. A player, featured over on ChessBase India, made this insane 600-point jump in his rating. So what was his secret? No super expensive coaches, no fancy software, nope. Just a stack of chess books and a lot of hard work. It's just proof that the path to getting great at this game is open to anyone who's willing to put in the time. So, that brings up the big question, right? Could you do the same thing? And the answer is absolutely, yes. Think of what we're about to go through as your own personal guide. We've mapped out the entire journey, step by step, showing you exactly which books to use at every single stage of your improvement.
Okay, let's dive in with stage 1. This is for anybody who's starting from scratch. Maybe you know how the pieces move, but that's about it. This first move, picking your very first book, is probably the most important one you're going to make.
Now, for total beginners, you've basically got two classic options. On one hand, you have Bobby Fischer Teaches Chess. It's super famous, really simple, and it's all about puzzles. But the book we're going to recommend even more strongly is the Soviet Chess Primer. And why is that? Well, because it's not just a book, it's a complete system. It's literally designed to take you from knowing nothing all the way up to a really solid 1600 rating.
And hey, if you need a little more convincing, just think about this. This isn't just some random book. This is the book that launched the careers of two of the greatest world champions ever, Garry Kasparov and Anatoly Karpov. I mean, if it was good enough for them, it's got to be the perfect place for you to start, right?
So once you've built that solid foundation, you're going to hit stage 2. And this is where we tackle a problem that so many players face. You're playing, you're studying, but your rating is just stuck, hovering around that 1500 mark. Sound familiar? Well, according to the experts, the reason for that plateau is almost always the same thing, your tactics. It's time to go to war on the tactical battlefield. And the great news is there's a really clear 3-step plan for this. First, you've got to learn the basic patterns. You just have to know them. Then, you drill those patterns into your brain until they're second nature, using the famous woodpecker method. And finally, if you're really aiming high, you can start tackling the super tough, elite-level problems in a book like Advanced Chess Tactics.
All right, so your tactics are sharp. Your rating is creeping past 1800, so what's the next big hurdle? What separates the good players from the really good players? It's the endgame. This is where you actually close out your games and secure the win. And mastering it is just, well, it's non-negotiable.
Okay, the absolute go-to book here is Silman's complete endgame course. What's so great about it is that it's broken down by rating level, so you only learn what you actually need to know right now. For a slightly different take, there's Mastering Endgame Strategy. But for just pure, practical knowledge, 100 endgames you must know is an absolute must. It focuses only on the critical positions you are going to see over and over again in your own games.
But wait, before we move on, there's one more book in this category. It's a total legend in the chess world, but man, it comes with a very serious warning.
And that book is the one, the only Dvoretsky's Endgame Manual. Look, this thing is basically the Bible of endgame theory, but it is brutally, brutally difficult. And the advice is crystal clear. If you are rated under 2200, don't even touch it. It's probably just a waste of your time. So do yourself a favor, file this one away. Think of it as your Mount Everest, an aspirational goal for when you reach that expert level.
Okay. So you've tamed the endgame, you're blasting past a 1900 rating, you're a strong player now. The next jump isn't about just calculating one more move ahead. It's about a total shift in how you see the board. It's about getting a deep, almost scientific understanding of chess strategy. It's time to learn how to think like a master. And here we see a really fascinating change in chess thinking. For decades, the classic book on strategy was My System by Nimzovich. It was revolutionary, but it was written way before computers. And today's chess engines have shown us that, well, some of its ideas were a little off. That's why the modern recommendation is Secrets of Modern Chess Strategy. It takes all those brilliant core ideas from the classic, but then it updates them with cold, hard computer analysis, making it way more practical for today's game.
Now, once you start thinking like a master, you're going to find yourself climbing up towards that 2000 rating. And that brings us to Stage 5 openings. But listen up, because there is a huge trap that so many players fall into right here. They start studying openings way too early. The real secret isn't about memorizing moves. It's about learning the secret language of the opening.
The philosophy here is so simple, but it's incredibly deep. You have to stop being a robot who just memorizes a string of moves. That kind of knowledge is so fragile. The second your opponent does something you don't recognize, it all falls apart. Real mastery comes from understanding the pawn structure and the strategic plans that come from it.
And that philosophy leads us to what is probably the single most important book for understanding openings: Chess Structures, a Grandmaster Guide. This book doesn't give you a bunch of lines to memorize. Instead, it teaches you how to look at any position, see the pawn structure, and instantly know what your plan should be. It is an absolute game changer. And that brings us to the final stage of our journey, the capstone. This part isn't about learning a specific skill like tactics or endgames. This is about pure inspiration. It's about soaking up the wisdom from the absolute best to ever play this game. It's time to dive into the game collections of the legends.
I mean, reading these books is like getting a private lesson from the greats themselves. You get inside Bobby Fischer's head and experience his brutal, crystal-clear logic in My 60 Memorable Games. You feel the incredible, electrifying magic of Mikhail Tal's Sacrifices. And in Kasparov's The Test of Time, you get to see the raw ambition of a young prodigy on his way to becoming a champion. Each book is a window into a totally brilliant and totally different chess mind.
And there you have it, a complete roadmap to chess mastery, guided by the timeless wisdom you can only find in books. The path is all laid out for you, from your very first move all the way to thinking like a world champion. The map is in your hands, so the only question left is, what's your first read gonna be?